My name is Mervyn Auchmuty. I farm here in County Roscommon in Lecarrow, along with my father Robert. We have a mixed enterprise of cereals, sheep and cattle. We grow the cereals using a very low disturbance, non-plough system. We graze all the land, some of it not as intensively as others. A lot of the land is natural, it's shoreline along by the Shannon, and that helps to manage the land from getting overgrown with invasive species, and it keeps the biodiversity the way it should be, and it keeps nature balanced. Down along that electric fence down there has never been sprayed off, and if you look along you can see the wildflowers, but you can also see trees that have grown naturally down along. There's ash, sycamore and oak, and they've all sprung up over the last few years, and they've just grown themselves. I don't know how the seeds got there, maybe birds or something, but they're there and we left them there. It's not very well managed as far as getting in and out of this hive, but a few years ago Abby, my daughter, wanted bees, and I got her a hive, and they're fascinating. I have 2 hives, it's enough. Here we have a live badger set. This is its main entrance. You can see it's very much alive. They do have different holes around about to escape or pop down into if they need to quickly. So badgers play a big part in keeping down slugs and stuff like that. They'll go out at night foraging. This is a bed that the badger has brought in. He's letting that dry out. He'll pull up that and he carries it in under his chin, and he'll leave it outside his set then to dry out, and then he'll pull that down into his set and use it as a bed. And you'll often see their bed outside that they've already used, and they'll bring it up and they'll air it out. If you look down here, you can see where the earthworms are working away themselves. This is all little bits of last year's stubble, and they would have pulled it down in here into the hole. So if you slowly bring it away, you'll find the hole, you see, and that's decomposing. The bacteria are able to feed down there in it. So he's aerating and he's bringing nutrients down into the soil. Since we started using this non-disturbance system, we've had more and more earthworms and more life in the soil, and you're also not releasing carbon at the same rate as you are when you're ploughing, so it's bringing down, it could actually be carbon positive maybe, growing the crop with what it takes in out of the air. And we have our own farmyard manure, which is made out of straw from the cattle being in, and this year for the first time we're composting that, so you get more out of your farmyard manure, and it's better for your organic matter, and it's more slow release across the crop as it grows. Here we have to trim this back to use it. It's a roadway that's used, but all the blackberries and briars grow out, and there's an array of natural flowers that grow along it, and this is just alive with all sorts of bees and insects. And if you look, there's a dry stone wall banked up with clay, and it's home to endless amount of little mammals, insects, birds. They nest in the whole way down along the wall. You see birds flying out of it, and they lots of space, and it's a great asset that maybe I didn't appreciate for years. You have crabapple trees there and in along. You have white thorn, which produce sloes. You have brambles, which produce blackberries. They're feeding the bees and the flies now, and when they come out in fruit they'll be feeding the birds and the foxes and different animals and us. Out here is where the nesting islands are, where all the birds nest. We allow the cattle to graze the shoreline. They're not confined to it. They have more land that they can go out onto, and the shoreline doesn't get it's not disturbed in any way. It gets no chemicals. It's a natural, it's a special area conservation. But there's 90 different species of plants and herbs growing there. There's different nutrients and vitamins and minerals in them, so the cattle will eat different ones as they need them. It's a natural supplement for them. And then in turn, by the cattle going in grazing, they will fertilise the ground when they dung. They will trample some of it and regenerate by grazing and trampling. And also when they dung, then that brings in more flies and gives them place to lay their eggs, and it also gives in turn then food for like waders and stuff like that who come in off the shore. When people talk about mindfulness, this is what I think of. Just sitting here with nothing to disturb you, only the sound of the waves and the birds and the flies.